All right, folks. I don't know. There's a lot going on today, and there's a lot been happening over the um, past few years, I guess you could say. Um, Capture. Oh, trying to get stuff open here so that y'all can see something at least. Um, Let me close that out. And I'm just going to add a screen capture, I guess. Display capture. Usually I have this already set up, but I'm going to put it on my primary monitor. So, y'all, if you're older than 24 years old, you'll know that this is a day of remembrance. But if you've not been living in a hole in the ground, you'll know that yesterday a young man was killed, and he was assassinated. Why? We don't know yet. There's speculations all over the place. There's condolences going out to him. All kinds of stuff. So he touched a lot of people. A lot of people did not agree with him. Charlie Kirk was his name. And he wound up being an inspiration for a lot of people. I can honestly tell you the first time I heard of him, I was in Kuwait, and I was at work. I worked Department of Public Works, DPW, in Camp Arif John, Kuwait. And I was just strumming through, and I wound up stumbling across one of his Change My Mind videos. What the video was, I can't remember, but the way he came across was not condescending, not I'm better than you, nothing. He was having an intellectual debate with people. And I can't remember all of what was being said. So, anyway, I'm sorry for his family. I'm sorry for everybody in that crowd that had to watch what happened and that had to run in fear. Because when you witness something like that, it is devastating to an individual, whether it be a soldier, whether it be a civilian, to watch somebody be murdered is devastating. It changes your outlooks on life and whatnot. And one of the things that everybody will remember was how good of a person Charlie was, because he didn't demonize you for your thoughts. He didn't force you to think like him. What he wanted you to do was don't go and regurgitate what other people like mainstream media or the one party, Democratic or Republican. He didn't want you regurgitating that stuff. He wanted you to hear all the facts, form your own decisions, and then be able to come up with your own conclusions. And a lot of people started listening to him, and they got out of the mindset of, well, I need to go to this college, I need to get this degree, and I need to go do this. Charlie dropped out of community college because he didn't want to be indoctrinated. Now, that being said, I wish myself and Evil Pixie, and we heard the news, and we were shocked at hearing what had happened. And I hope that they find this person, and I hope that they punish them to the maximum extent of the law, whether it be charged federally or state. Right now, they're looking at the death penalty for whoever did it, because this was an assassination attempt. One shot was all it was. They didn't sit there and try to injure anybody else. They had one specific individual in their mindset that needed to be taken care of, and that was Charlie Kirk. And I know a lot of people are thinking, well, he was a conservative. Yeah, he was, but he was also a father. He was a husband. He cared about his family so much that he did not want them to be harassed by anybody because of who he was and how he spoke his mind. He kept his two innocent children out of the spotlight. Every time a camera was on them, he made sure the camera never captured their faces to the public. Now, I'm sure there are pictures of him and his wife and his children all facing the camera, but those are private pictures and videos that him and his wife have and his family have for him, his children. They're not shared with the public. He didn't want them terrorized for what he was doing. But then I started thinking what today is. Today is the 24th the 24th anniversary of 9/11. And what I remember about this day, I was stationed at Schofield Barracks, Hawaii in 2011, back from 1998 to 2001. That's how long I was stationed at Schofield Barracks. I did my 3-year tour, which was from November 1998 to November of 2001. My youngest, or not my youngest, my son, MJ, he's named after me, so I call him MJ. He was born in June. I was getting ready to go on a field exercise with the 25th Military Police Company at Schofield Barracks. We were fixing to go into the field, do a 30-day exercise where we would be training like we were in combat. Well, I had gotten up in Hawaii time, at local time. I gotten up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was getting ready to go in, get on a vehicle, load up all my equipment and stuff, and go on this 30-day deal. Well, I walked downstairs in my townhouse, my own base housing, which was a townhouse, and I started my breakfast. I got my uniform on, got everything ready. I was getting all my stuff loaded into the back of my car, and I turned the TV on for some reason. It was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had my TV downstairs in the living room. I had it turned on, and I wasn't very loud, and let's see if I can do this. I got notification news reporting, news coverage. Let's go there. I'll see if I can pull it up. But this is all remembering. I was looking for the actual, yeah, here we go.
Welcome back to Fox News. We have a very tragic alert for you right now. An incredible plane crash into the World Trade Center here at the lower tip of Manhattan.
It's believed a 737 has crashed into. There's speculation at this point, but at least 3 floors taken out, crashed into the side of the building. Joining us right now, one of the producers with Fox Report, Owen Mugen on the scene. Owen, what do you know? What do you see? Where are you?
Yeah, Brian, I'm on the roof of my building, which is about 5 blocks to the south of the World Trade Center. I'm looking right now at the World Trade Center. There's a massive gaping hole on the second tower. It's about 15 stories from the roof. It's just unbelievable to look at. There's a massive hole.
It looks like something out of a movie. There is a huge hole in the side of tower number 1.
Tower 1.
Owen, your apartment is just a few blocks from it. Did you hear anything?
I was lying in bed. All of a sudden I heard what sounded like a plane or something coming extremely low, and then we just heard this shattering explosion. I ran up to the roof and confronted by this horror. There's a gaping hole. I can see the south face, and there are flames. There are papers flying out of the windows, black flames. There are flames coming out of multiple floors.
Did it sound like there is one report on one news channel here in New York City that perhaps it was a jet, perhaps a 737. When you heard the noise, did it sound like a prop job or a jet?
It sounded like a jet, but from where I was, I just couldn't tell. All I know is that there was something flying through the air, and then this massive impact. Whether it was a jet, I just don't know.
Listening to you right now, I hear a lot of sirens. Is that what you're hearing right now? I mean,
yeah, I'm going to move to the front of my, which will. Yeah, you can just see it right now. You can see emergency vehicles tearing south from the West Side Highway, heading towards the scene. There are tons of people in the streets. There are papers, things fluttering out. I can't see any evidence of what it was that could have crashed. All I can see is that this massive, gaping hole with tons of black smoke falling out of the building.
Owen, we have a satellite picture
Take a look right
now.
there.
That is it.
A live picture. As you can see, Edie, this is different. This is a different perspective than we saw earlier. The plane obviously went in on one side and came out the other. There's debris all over the ground
broke
down
through
below.
on parts.
Yeah, exactly. And as you can see, it affects perhaps 10 floors of the World Trade Center building. It is over 100 stories tall. It is the tallest structure in...
Okay, now this is what I was watching and whatnot. I don't know if they actually get it on video or not. But I was watching this, and at first it seemed surreal to me. I thought it was a practical joke that was being played. I didn't think it was real at first. I didn't realize what was going on. And I didn't think what it would do to affect my life. And how this right here would be a major part of my life. It turns out it was a major part of history. But I didn't think I would be a part of history like this. And I'll explain in a few minutes what I'm talking about. But, okay, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit further ahead.
Are preliminary, and they are as awful. John Hires. John, are you with us? All right, we lost John Hires. As a second plane flew into the center, that was in a more or less subterranean garage. That was an attempt. Again, we're talking about 1989 now. That was an attempt.
Okay, now that 1989 attack, I was actually stationed at 1989. I was still in school. And I remember that. They drove a van into the parking garage of the World Trade Center. And they set it off thinking if they took out the basement supports, that they would be able to collapse the entire building in on itself. Well, that's the general idea with demolitions and stuff. I've worked demolition jobs. You go in, you take out the center support at the lowest point, and you go from the middle out. When you take the middle column out, it will cause the building to collapse inward and downward on itself. So the bomber at that time thought that being in the basement with a van full of explosives would bring down the building. What they failed to account for was where they put the vehicle. The vehicle was not near the center supports. The vehicle was not near a main support of the outer walls. It was just in the parking garage, and the parking garage was open. So all the blast force was able to go out the openings on both sides of the parking garage. And it did a lot of damage, but it didn't do what they had intended to do. And that's why in 1989, the World Trade Center survived that. But this, as you can see, this is the first plane. It had entered on this I think this was the north-facing wall, and this is the west-facing wall. I could have it backwards, but I think this was the north-facing wall, and it's done a lot of structural damage here, which is also affecting the center support here. But I'm not the engineer. I'm a demolitions expert. I've done explosives a lot in my life. But anyways, so we'll get back to this.
To bring down the building by knocking out the support pillars. What was intended here is anyone's guess at this point. It may have been simply a suicidal pilot who wanted to make a point. We don't know. But you can see that the upper floors of the North Tower of the World Trade Center, once the tallest building in the world, very much involved in smoke and flame after a report of a plane crashing into the side of the building. We have on the phone with us Dr. Vernon Gross. He's a former investigator with the National Transportation Safety Board. Dr. Gross, have you ever seen anything like this?
Well, I haven't, but I'm old enough to have remembered the B-25 crashing into the Empire State Building, you know, in World War II.
That, as we've said, was a fog. That was an accident, wasn't it? Fog obscured the pilot's vision?
Yes, it was definitely an accident.
Can you think of any reason for a pilot to slam into a building of this height on a day like today if it wasn't intentional?
Well, it could have been some inattention. I wouldn't rule that out. In other words, he might have had difficulty.
Okay, I just realized I might have had my mic muted, but what you're about to see here is it's tough for some people to watch, and it's what I watched, and I was in shock. As soon as I seen this, though, I knew that even though I was in Hawaii, I knew that stuff was going to be changing, and I was packing my bags to go to the field to do a field training exercise as a military police officer. But as soon as I saw this, I went and got my law enforcement gear, not my combat gear. It was already out in my car. But I had to grab my law enforcement gear, which was my duty belt, my MP Bizarre armband. We had leather armbands. We called them brassards. I will. So this is what I wore, and at the time I had the 25th Infantry Division patch on it. So you see how these are all lined up. This was back in the early 2000s. So we were still wearing BDU uniforms. In the field, we wore this color because we were in a combat environment, and white stands out. So we wore this one when we were out in the field training and whatnot. I wish I still had pictures from way back when, but this was the unit that on this date I was with the we had basically I had an MP I had an MP armband, but the one I had packed up was my green one like this. This was what I'd had on at the time, getting ready to go out to the field. Well, when I saw this...
Well, he might have had engine failure. He might have been with his head down in the cockpit instead of looking where he was going. And it depends also on the angle of the sun, for example. Was he flying east when he hit? I don't know because I can't see the pictures.
Even for light planes, there is a traffic way up the Hudson River not very far from these buildings, isn't there?
Oh, yes. The buildings are close to the river. And furthermore, if you've got three major airports in the area, LaGuardia, Newark, and JFK, and it's the busiest air corridor in the world from that point of view. So he could have been confused.
And there are some height limitations. In other words, the planes that fly by there, I'm talking about personal aircraft, light aircraft, and even some, I guess, commercial aircraft. I know that I've returned to the city from time to time and come in at about at a height about level with the top of the building there.
Well, certainly, and you have a lot of helicopter operations in that area down at that low altitude.
So is it in your view, this could have been an accident? We're not necessarily talking about a deliberate act here.
I wouldn't.
All right. At this point, everybody is thinking this was a fluke accident, that the pilot had made a miscalculation or had lost focus of where they were and whatnot. And this is what I was thinking, that it was a horrible, horrible accident. And I wasn't ready for what was about to happen. What's about to happen, for those who are born after 2001, and if you're watching this, this is what started a lot of things for people. It shaped the outcome of today, if that makes sense. So, what?
I don't think so immediately at all. You've got to find out why he crashed, and obviously if it's a deliberate terrorist act, then there'll be a message probably from somebody taking credit for it. But right now it sounds as though the early morning sun, we've had drivers in cars get blinded, by the sun. You could have aircraft trouble. So he could be distracted. There's a number of reasons why the aircraft might hit the building.
Eyewitnesses are saying it was a small commuter plane. Again, these early reports are just coming in now from the wire services. A small commuter plane apparently hitting the side of the World Trade Center. Happened, just a few.
Okay. Even at this distance, where this camera is and looking at this, a small commuter plane would never cause this much damage. This is a big area. that has been just knocked out of the building. And for it to go all the way through and knock out another wall, no commuter plane, I don't care how big the commuter plane is going to be able to have enough momentum to go through the center of the building and exit the other side. Okay, if it entered here, it came out here, yes. But this hit dead center and still came out on the other side, here.
A few minutes ago, but you can see the smoke. The smoke tower is growing. There is quite a bit of flame inside the building. The two towers are home, at least during the day, to upwards of 50,000 workers in those 220 floors.
Right.
I am reminded of a couple of things that happened recently, Dr. Gross. Not long ago, within the last couple of weeks, in fact, there was a pilot who flew.
All right, I'm going to back that up just a second.
So he could be distracted. There's a number of reasons why the aircraft might hit the building.
Eyewitnesses are saying it was a small commuter plane. Again, these early reports are just coming in now from the wire services. A small commuter plane apparently hitting the side of the World Trade Center. Happened, just a few minutes ago, but you can see the smoke. The smoke tower is growing. There is quite a bit of flame inside the building. The two towers are home.
This right here is where I knew that the United States was in trouble, because you're about to watch what I watched in horror as a second jet right here straight slams right into the building, and it just explodes.
Saw another one. We just saw another one, apparently.
I'll go back just before it so you can get the reporter's reaction.
Newark and JFK, and it's the busiest air corridor in the world from that point of view, so he could have been confused.
And there are some height limitations. In other words, the planes that fly by there, I'm talking about personal aircraft, light aircraft, and even some, I guess, commercial aircraft. I know that I've returned to the city from time to time and come in at a height about level with the top of the building there.
Well, certainly, and you have a lot of helicopter operations in that area down at that low altitude.
So is it in your view, this could have been an accident? We're not necessarily talking about a deliberate act here. I
wouldn't think so immediately at all. You've got to find out why he crashed, and obviously, if it's a deliberate terrorist act, then there'll be a message probably from somebody taking credit for it. But right now, it sounds as though the early morning sun, we've had drivers in cars get blinded, by the sun. You could have aircraft trouble. So he could be distracted. There's a number of reasons why the aircraft might hit the building.
Eyewitnesses are.
And I was talking about it, so. But.
Did you want that?
Saying it was a small commuter plane. Again, these early reports are just coming in now from the wire services. A small commuter plane apparently hitting the side of the World Trade Center. happened, just a few minutes ago, but you can see the smoke. The smoke tower is growing. There is quite a bit of flame inside the building. The two towers are home, at least during the day, to upwards of 50,000 workers in those 220 floors.
Right.
I am reminded of a couple of things that happened recently, Dr. Gross. Not long ago, within the last couple of weeks, in fact, there was a pilot who flew. There was another one. We just saw another one. We just saw another one apparently go. Another plane just flew into the second tower. This has to be deliberate, folks.
Well, that would begin to say that, yeah.
We just saw on live television as a second plane flew into the second tower of the World Trade Center. Now, given what has been going on around the world, some of the key suspects come to mind: Osama bin Laden. Who knows what? Eric Shawn is with us. Eric, I know you have a lot of sources at the FBI and other agencies like that. What can you tell us?
Well, first, I apologize for being out of breath because I was walking down Fifth Avenue, which is close to our studios, and I heard a jet, perhaps a 737 or a small Airbus, flying low, unusually low over Fifth Avenue, making a right. I'm not going to say, I don't know, I don't have any reports on what type of plane hit the World Trade Center, but people looked up and it made a right toward the building. John, what we just saw, though, obviously, if that indeed was a second...
Okay, so my wife, Evil Pixie, just came in. Y'all just saw what happened there. But yeah, when I saw that second jet
aircraft that hit
hit the second hit the building here, I knew that I needed to get all my gear. I had my duffel bags ready. I had my law enforcement gear, and we called it road gear because we worked law enforcement on the road. We were out there doing traffic enforcement, law enforcement, all that. So I knew at that time that I needed to be ready for whatever was going to happen. Then we got word the Pentagon got hit, and everybody this image here was...
President Bush is about to speak. He's in Florida. That was what was supposed to be a joyous event at an elementary school. Let's listen in.
Today we've had a national tragedy. Two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and I've ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families, and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence.
Okay.
How was that?
It sounded like a plane crash.
Hey, Beth. What is that? Somebody hit the World Trade Center or the
Trade Center.
World Trade Center.
I'm switching
Yeah.
So that it's no...
This just in, you are looking at
we have a breaking
obviously
news
very
story to tell you
disturbing
about.
live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed.
As we come on now, we have serious news that may have a very tragic look for you right now. An incredible plane crash into the World Trade Center.
This is...
I just heard a loud boom. You did? Was it a plane? That's what I was thinking. It was a terrorist attack.
Immediately, there's speculation or cause for concern. This is the World Trade Center that was the center of a terrorist bombing some years ago. So the questions have to be asked, was this purely an accident or could this have been an intentional act? But either way, extensive damage was done.
What's this other jet doing? What's this other jet doing? Holy fuck!
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Looks like 6, 7 floors were taken out. And there's more explosions right now. Hold on, people are running.
Hold on just a moment. We got an explosion inside.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll tell you what's going on.
Right, oh my God, another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
Pick your reader up from under your seat. Stay on page 153.
All right. Everybody watching this, you can see his face. President Bush's face was just, he's processing what he has just been told about the planes hitting the towers. The Pentagon has not been hit yet, and Flight 97 has not crashed yet. Is 97 or 93? I forget. It was United Flight 93. It's United Flight 93. It hasn't crashed yet, so I'll continue now.
At the count of 3, everyone should be on page 153.
You see the sirens.
Mom, another plane just crashed into the World Trade Center. Another plane hit it. A jumbo jet. I'm so scared. I'm leaving. Oh, no, don't, Megan. You can't. Bye. I love you. Megan. Mom, I'm Carol. I'm getting up. Oh, please wait for me.
We do have some videotape of the second plane, and you can see it there.
Where? I didn't see it. Oh, whoa. We're under attack.
And from our vantage point, clearly difficult to tell.
We're under attack.
What type of plane that is, but it's a horrific scene.
All right, we've just been told also, Michael, sorry, the New York Stock Exchange is being evacuated, as is, I'm sure, much of Wall Street, if not all of it, as much as possible. But the New York Stock Exchange has suspended trading for the moment.
It's war.
Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
Okay, now this video footage is from outside the Pentagon. And what this is the plane hitting the outer buildings of the Pentagon. The Pentagon is shaped with 5 sides, and for those that don't know, it's shaped with 5 sides. It's called the Pentagon because it's in the shape of a pentagon. But there are outer buildings, then there's a courtyard, inner buildings, a courtyard, and a third inner building. They drove through or flew through and hit the outer building. And there's a lot of speculations and a lot of conspiracies that this wasn't a plane, this was a missile that was flown straight in, or shot straight into the building. It was a plane. And I've had the honor of serving with guys who were at the Pentagon on this day. And they lived through this.
David, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we're looking at live pictures of the Pentagon where there is billowing smoke. Jim Miklaszewski just reported that he heard an explosion, and right now we're looking at an aerial view of the Pentagon.
There are reports that the Pentagon has been evacuated and the White House is being evacuated.
However, I'd be very, very cautious.
All of the airports across the country have been shut down. All flights have been canceled for another 7 hours, which is about 5 o'clock Eastern time, and then we'll reignite there. We'll take a look what's going on after that. The probability of extension, as they call that, is high.
2 and 2, 1. This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
I hope I live. It's coming down on me. Here it comes. I'm getting behind a car.
Anthony, you okay? Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Watch out. I got it.
No idea. I'll tell you that I can't see that second tower, but there was a cascade of sparks and fire, and now it looks almost like a mushroom cloud explosion, this huge billowing smoke in the second tower. This was the second of the two towers hit.
Now this is what it looked like moments ago. My God.
The remains of a airplane crash over on Lambertsville Road, and probably had a terrorist bomb on board that blew up. I don't know anything more than that. That's what I heard on the scanner. I just saw the smoke come up, and the explosion shook the house clear over here, and we are, what, 15 miles from Lambertsville. In Washington,
Okay, this part of the video, this is the flight 93. The passengers on board flight 93 had heard about they heard about the Trade Center attack, and they heard that the plane had been hijacked and flown into the trade centers. From my understanding, their plane was hijacked, and the passengers knew that they realized that they were now part of an elaborate attack against the U.S. They didn't know where they were going. They didn't know what the plan was, but they knew that they had to act. The pilots were dead. They had been killed in the cockpit by the hijackers. Well, the passengers attacked the hijackers, and they forced the plane down. I'm not exactly sure. I wasn't on board. I don't remember all the audio that came from this and whatnot, but they got the hijackers out of the cockpit, and in the process, the plane crashed in Pennsylvania. There is a monument out there for them, remembering everybody on board that plane. And then what we're about to see is Tower 2.
Over here, and we are, what, 15 miles from Lambertsville.
I think this was Tower 2.
In Washington, there is a large fire at the Pentagon. The Pentagon has been evacuated. And there, as you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing. Good Lord. There are no words. We have a report that a 747 is down in Pennsylvania, and that remains unconfirmed at this point, and so we will check on that.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. These acts of mass murder were intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. Our country is strong. A great people has been moved to defend a great nation. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them.
I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
Okay, so as I was saying, that started a lot of stuff in my life. That was a a major turning point in history that I lived through. And let's see. Then we it brought us into the global war on terrorism, and we were sent to Iraq, we were sent to Afghanistan. So it started a big deal for me. So it was a pivoting point in my life that changed how things happen. And this is an operation that I was involved in. I was involved in the acts of Iraq. Okay, here we go. This is my barracks. I was actually, it's my rooftop. So, as you can see, it says August 4, 2004. Enemy forces tried to take over the north gate of the airfield. We called it Camp Diamondback in Mosul, Iraq. They were using small arms. Small arms in this instance is they were using AK-47s and RPGs to attack us. Now, North Gate was literally 30 feet from my barracks room. If you went out the back of my barracks, if you went out the front, you would be heading into the main gate or into the main portion of the base. If you went out the back door and went to the left, you'd be walking to the north gate. North gate was where we had our quick reaction force stationed. We kept the gate open and allowed for people to be able to look out, but no foot traffic was allowed through that gate. That gate was for an immediate response from the MPs and the infantry. We had vehicles mounted and staged to be able to respond to anything that happened inside the city. At this time, I was walking back from the USO Morale Center, which was where we had video games set up, we had the internet set up, we had a library in there, a music hall, board games, stuff like that. It was a place to go and relax. And there was a restaurant just right outside of the USO. And I had went over there, and I was in PT uniform. Back then, it was a gray shirt and black shorts. The gray t-shirt had reflective Army on the front. It just said Army across the front. It didn't have the big A, reflective A on the back. We had black shorts, I think, at that time. We were wearing the black PT shorts. And anywhere we went, we had to carry a weapon with us. Either, because I was an MP, I was allowed to wear my 9mm instead of having to carry my AR-15, instead of carrying my M4 with me, I was carrying my 9mm in a shoulder holster, and I had 2 extra magazines under my left arm. I'm a left-handed shooter, so my pistol was in my right armpit, and my magazines were in my left. I'm walking back to my barracks, and I hear a bzzz, and I had been shot at a couple of times, so I knew the whistle of a bullet zinging by me, and it hit where like a couple of inches to my left, but just behind where I had just been standing, and I was walking, and it came through the gate. Well, a couple of the infantry guys were in their vehicle, and one of them popped up, and he was like, "Are they shooting?" And I looked through the gate, and a couple more rounds came hitting near me, and that's when I took off running back to my barracks. And you'll see what's going on here. But let's go ahead and get this. Okay. Let me go back just a little bit. This is my barracks right here. This building right here was my barracks. Right here is the gate. Let's enlarge it. This was the gate. This whole area right here is a big wall. Now, this was supposed to be concrete. To me, it seemed more like adobe, but it's concrete. This is the guard tower that we had MPs up in the guard tower pulling watch, and I think it was 100 yards. Every 100 yards there was a tower. Well, on the other side of this was the city of Missoula, and there's a building right on the other side. You'll see in just a second. There's a road that runs right along this this fence, and there's a big old field, wide open field, that was where they were harvesting something. I forget what was being grown at that time, but there was a big field that was still growing. It wasn't harvest season. So these guys So, I know the video quality is not that great, and it's being confusing and whatnot. So, this is my building. This was my home in Iraq. This is where I live. These guys right here that are filming currently, They were National Guardsmen who were artillery guardsmen. They had been trained to work as artillery, but because we had such a shortage at the beginning of the Iraqi war, these guys had been brought in and trained to do military police work for field operations. They weren't trained as law enforcement, but they were trained to do prisoner of war operations. They were trained in route reconnaissance by us MPs, and they were trained to identify targets and stuff and help with taking care of prisoners. So these guys were all, we called them weekend warriors. We gave them a lot of crap, but they were real good guys and girls. And you'll meet a couple of them. Not all of them came home with us. And I'll go into that in a little bit. Okay. So we were with the 3rd Infantry Division. We were assigned to the 2nd Infantry Division, but our home branch was the 3rd ID. So all of us had our 3rd ID patches on top of our helmets. What he's hiding behind, I think that what he was taking cover behind was a water canister, I believe. It was either water or a ventilation. I can't remember. But you can see the overgrowth of what we had here. And this guy, this fighting position was not set up. This was thrown together in response to the attack that was just initiated against us. The sandbags we had up there, but this machine gun was brought up and set up in a hasty fighting position. Right here, we always kept sandbags on the outer side of the wall of our roof. This was the only way to get up onto the roof. This is where the stairwell was. You can see there's a little maintenance shed. I think it housed the watering intake and stuff. I'm not exactly sure. I never went into this building that much. I think I went one time into it. But this building was full of MPs, and on the very first floor was our arms room and our platoon leader. Our platoon sergeant, I forget his name now. They lived on the back side, they were on the other side of the building, but on the back side, on the ground floor. So all of our rooms, all of our barracks rooms were on the top two floors. This was a 3-story building.
Please fire! Hey, fire this one, guys, fire this one.
We were having trouble. But when we identified the targets, we rocked it. Okay, as you can see, we're in PTs. We were not expecting anything to happen at this time. Nothing severe was expected. So we were literally sitting there, and we were in our off day. We threw on our body armor and ran to the rooftops with what weapons we could, what ammo we could, and we started defending ourselves.
Watch your legs, watch your legs. Get him that. Sloan, you need more SAR ammo?
5 videos from this firefight.
Back here. Hey, you guys need to start resupplying. You need to get cases of water and just start throwing them this way. Right? Then you need to go down, and anywhere there's fucking ammo, we need to get it and get it to these other points. Let me know who's going. Who's going?
Sullivan car.
Who's the first one going out? Carpenter.
Okay, so right here on top of this building right here, we had a group get up here on top of the very top of the stairwell. And they were shooting into the city and whatnot. And one of the guys, while he was laying down, a round somehow went between his body armor. It went right in behind his body armor here and burned his back. It got caught and stopped a couple inches. The round itself missed him completely, but it was laying between him and his skin, or between him and his body armor, and it was burning hot. He screamed. He was yelling at us.
They can't say we ain't let no rounds down that motherfucker.
As you can see, we're just... This, the 33 dead, the 33 dead were the guys that we killed. The 22 injured were the civilians, or not civilian. They were the attacking force, and they were using civilians. They were hiding in their houses and stuff. It says one soldier received a minor injury during this attack, which is true. He wound up getting burned by the thing. I gotta find the other videos. I know there's more. This one I will show you in a minute. That's the day that my career was put in jeopardy. My life was put in jeopardy because I was shot. But the mess hall bombing happened right after I got shot. Oh, Scott Miller. I remember him. This is what we did. We were training the Iraqi police force. Now, before August 4th, there was an attack in Mosul on the Iraqi Police Academy. I was asleep in my bed, and a shock wave went off, and the shock wave knocked me out of my bed. And the Iraqi Police Academy was several miles away from where I was sleeping. Okay, here we go. I need to find Attack on Mosul Airfield Part 3. I need Part 1. Let me go back up to the Part 3. Let's see if I click on it, see if it'll pull up Part 1 and 2. Let's go here. We had several different videos. That's Part 2. Part 4. See, right here is where he's at the top. Let's just take this out and do the whole thing. Let's see what happens here. Okay, yeah, this one. Alright. So, to explain this one, this was July 26th of 2024. And this was a coordinated attack against every Iraqi police station in Mosul. They're going to cover one car bomb, but this car bomb detonated right outside of the police academy, and it killed several brand new police officers. Now, on this attack, every police officer in the city came under attack that day. What we found out in a later incident, I'll play this for you so that you can see what happened. They had drove a car into the academy and parked it. And you see it's not just one car, it was multiple cars that they had. And they detonated everything at the same time. This was the most coordinated attack that I had experienced at that time. They didn't care about the civilian casualties. They weren't attacking U.S. soldiers. They were attacking the Iraqi people. And this is how we knew that it was Iranian, the ISIS, sponsored by Iranians and Syrians who did this attack on us, or on the Iraqi police themselves. And what happened, we got a massive call out that every police station in the city was being attacked at the same time, and all by car bombs and by small arms fire. They had the guys that were not affiliated, that didn't have association with ISIS, they didn't know what was coming. So they went to work. They went to school. And they were preparing for their normal day. I think this was about 10 o'clock in the morning. I had just come off of the night shift. I was sleeping in my barracks room. And this concussion knocked me out of bed. And we were watching in shock and awe because we could see the smoke from the police academy, and they had us all mount up, and we got, as you can see, we responded as fast as we could, however we were dressed. We didn't care about uniform protocol during a situation like this. This was save yourself and whatnot. This was get out there and do what was right. So we did. And when we got there, there were bodies in places where they had been thrown from the blast. There were bodies at the police stations where the cops had been killed at their desk or while walking through the hall and whatnot. And they used that to attack the police stations with small amounts of people, and they killed police officers who were at the station. We found out that the officers who didn't show up that day had been warned ahead of time what was going to happen, but because they had ties to ISIS, they knew what was coming and they didn't go to work. So when they showed up the next day and was like, "Ooh, what happened here?" They got arrested and were processed, and we went through and processed these guys to find out what the deal was. Hold on. That's part 3, part 2, part 4. Trying to find part 1. And it's not very long. It was bad during that time frame. I can remember so much of this, but I can't even remember what I did a few days ago. Alright, we'll go to this.
That's close. Look on the rooftop. Yeah, I'm looking.
Okay, as you can see, this is the main wall. This is a guard tower right here. Right here is the city, and they are everywhere out there.
Man, they're going fucking nuts.
Okay. Hold on. I'll back it up. Back up. So this was my first time ever seeing a cell phone tower. I didn't know what this was. And I asked. This was a cell phone tower in Iraq. This is where we staged our QRF. Now I'm remembering what that building was. This was the cell phone tower that provided networking for a major portion of the city and everything. So I'll go back just a few seconds and I'll let it play so you can hear what happens.
Down and look. Everybody down. Down. Get cover. Get down. Get cover. Got it. Hey, I want everyone down. Get down. That won't cover you. It's coming right over us. We're over on the other side of the field.
Okay. This guy right here, I think that was Sergeant First Class. He was the platoon sergeant. And he's trying to tell his guys to seek cover and whatnot. As you can tell, he's up there. Nobody on him.
I'm behind the thing.
This area right here was a lot of target-enriched environment, but we couldn't identify the targets, so we didn't shoot just to shoot. We had to identify our targets and make sure what we were shooting at, we were killing.
I got him! I can't distinguish whether it's IPs or not.
Is he shooting this way?
Whoa, it just came over. I got it.
Okay, so this was back in the day when we had the A on the back of our Army PTs. I couldn't remember if we did or didn't. I've been in so long, the Army PTs have changed multiple times. But as you see on the back of his outfit right here, there's the big Army A that's a reflective paint. But like he said, we couldn't, there were certain things we couldn't identify. We couldn't tell the difference between the IPs and the insurgents because the insurgents had taken uniforms back on the 26th. They had taken the uniforms of the IPs, which was Iraqi police officers. And they were shooting at us wearing those uniforms to turn us against the Iraqis.
I got IPs out here. I got something out here. Hey, I need you guys to go down and get your gear on.
He yells, I need you to go get your gear on, as he's standing there with no gear on. That's typical Sergeant First Class mentality there. That was part 2. Let's find part 3. Part 3 is from my building. Oh yeah, no, it's not. They went and got his gear so he'd be able to stay on the video, but they didn't get his helmet.
Oh shit! I gotta identify. Gotta make sure we get right back. Just sit around and hit the building. Yeah, you guys be careful. These rounds are winging through. That's the 3rd and 4th round that's gonna buy him.
They weren't using just 7.62 by 3.9. They were using 7.62 by 5.9. Now, a lot of people are like, what's the difference between that size? Well, they had found out our body armor could be pierced, but with a heavier a heavier 7.62 round. Now, the 3.9 and 5.9 both got stopped by the plates right here in the front and in the back. However, there's an area right here and right through here. There's no plates. And I will go into this a little bit later. So we're still on. These guys, they're all the National Guardsmen. All these guys are National Guardsmen, right?
Yeah, I'm looking.
This is I think this was my building. That's a water tank right there. This is how we got water to take showers and stuff. Okay, yeah, this is from my building, my barracks room. So when an MP fire team, a 3-man team, consists of the team commander, a driver, and a gunner. The team commander, his weapons loadout is an M4 with a 203 attached to it, an M203 grenade launcher attached to it. So the standard MP loadout is 6 magazines on your person. Those magazines have 30 rounds. That's 180 rounds. Then you have a 30-round magazine inside your weapon with 1 round in the chamber. So you have 211 rounds on your person for a situation. That's one individual. Then on top of that, you have a 9mm with 15 rounds in the magazine, 1 round in the chamber. Then you have 6 9mm magazines, 15 rounds apiece. 6 times 15, 9, plus the other 15. That's 105. Plus 1 in the chamber, 106 rounds. Then, if you have the 203, you should have on your person 6 203 rounds. High explosive grenade rounds kept in pockets on your person. That is for the team leader. The driver, he has an M4 carbine. He has 7 magazines, 1 in a chamber. He has a 9mm on his hip, plus his 6 magazines and the 16 rounds in his pistol. He also has the Humvee, which can be used as a weapon. I used it and ran a guy over because that was they were shooting at us. Easiest way to stop it, run the dude over. then as the gunner, you either had a 50 cal with 1,000 rounds, because we had 10 ammo boxes in our Humvees, but we had one ammo box that was always locked and loaded, and you had 100 rounds per ammo can. That ammo can, when you went out the gate, you locked and loaded, that 50 cal had rounds in it ready to rock and roll. You couldn't overload the 100 rounds magazine. However, what we did do was we took the ammo can, we pulled all the rounds out of it, depending on it depended on the gunner, because this was the gunner's preparations and whatnot. I had all my ammo linked together, not just in one can. I had it to where inside my vehicle, my ammo can had the 100 round, but it fell inside the vehicle, and I had a bigger crate inside that had all my ammo linked together and was stored, so that I didn't have to go, oh, I'm out, let me swap out this ammo can and feed. I had everything linked together so that when I rolled, I didn't have to worry about reload. I had to worry about a jam. And a jam was grab that charging handle, pull it back, open the lid, swipe it, close it, clear it, pull it back again, and rock those butterflies. But we put a 50 cal. That's the 50
Look at it. They're shooting everything else.
Our rule of engagement was engage them with what they match their engagement, and meet them with what, if they shot at us with small arms, then we shot back at them with small arms. Now the machine gun, the M2 50 cal machine gun, is classified as an anti-infantry weapon, but it's also classified as an anti-vehicle weapon, depending on what ammo type you're using. We had the 50 cal with armor piercing rounds, but we also had 50 cals with regular ammo in it. And this is where we got into a little bit of a haze, because some of the guys didn't know which rounds they had loaded because they were so excited, or it was the fog of war. They were grabbing ammo and just throwing it into the 50 without paying attention to the tip or to the nomenclature on it. So we were a 50 cal will go through anything, But an armor-piercing 50 cal will definitely go through a lot. And this is where it got a little bit concerning, because we were shooting at a building that they were shooting at us. And if the building was shooting at us, we didn't care who was in that building. We were devastating that building. And it could have been a few civilians in those buildings. And that's where that 33 death count, the 22 injured, that could have been some civilians in the back rooms that were being held against their will. And that's what bothers some of us to this day. We don't know if we were the ones that injured them or if they were injured by the insurgents who were attacking us. But that Kiowa was we were calling in for close air support, and the Kiowas were coming in to help us. Okay, this dude here was one of the funniest guys in my platoon. He gave me a lot of shit, and me and him didn't always get along, but he was a good kid. I don't know what happened to him after I left Fort Stewart. I've not stayed in touch. I honestly, right now, my brain is so fried, I don't even remember his name. But I know he was a good kid. He gave me shit. He gave me a lot of grief that I deserved at times, and I gave it right back to him. That was the bonds that are formed during situations like this.
You climb back. You just run up that building. Come on, you climb back. Hey, everybody, hold on.
Let's see. There's another video, and I don't know where it is. I've not been able to find it. But we'll go back to the one on let me see. I need to back up. Back up. Trying to remember where I'd seen it. It was the November 11th, Mosul. That video, we had an insurgent leader. What's this?
Who's fired? Hey, fire this one, guys. Fire this one.
Hold on. Okay. This right here, we were being sent to, we had got notification that there was a insurgent cell leader going to be coming into Mosul, and we were going to go out and capture this individual because we had gotten intel that he was coming in to do a meeting and they were getting ready to strike, or they were planning some kind of strike. So we were going to do the strike first. And we got notified at like 7:30 in the morning. Well, during this time frame, I was using dipping tobacco, basically Copenhagen. I did Copenhagen Black, which had been mixed with a touch of whiskey so that it could calm my nerves and stuff. And it was my way of keeping my nerves down and everything. And when I started having cravings, I mean, I was fiending bad for Copenhagen on these missions. If I didn't get it, then while we were out on patrol, something bad was going to happen. And it happens more than once. This day, though, it was real bad for me. The first time it happened, we had a little kid get killed. The next time it happened for me, and whatnot, we lost a soldier who I had become friends with. And so, yes, y'all can say that it was superstition or whatever. If I got my Copenhagen, and I was fiending real bad, and I got my Copenhagen, then life proceeded with normal. Nothing bad ever happened. But if I didn't get it, then something bad did happen. So I guess you could say I became superstitious and whatnot. Well, on this day, I was fiending awful. I was in a bad place. I had a bad feeling in my whole body, everything. I was supposed to be the driver of the Humvee, but we were going into an operation where we knew the bad guys were out there. I had a gunner who who wasn't very good with the 50 cal. He had a 249 machine gun. I had a 50 cal machine gun because I had scored expert and I was well equipped with the 50 cal machine gun. I also had a Mark 19 grenade launcher, which I took off my vehicle for this day and I put the 50 cal up. I told the gunner he was going to be the driver. I was begging for people to give me some Copenhagen. I had ran out. Well, it's like 7:30 in the morning, and we were all expecting this mission brief and blah blah blah, and I thought I had time to run to the PX and grab some Copenhagen. I wasn't able to do that. We got over to the staging area, and they locked us down. They said, hey, y'all will be assigned to this group, and y'all's mission is the EPW, Enemy Prisoner of War mission. We had an Iraqi police team. I think they were 6 to 8 of those guys assigned to us to help with detaining the prisoners. They were in what looked like a little Nissan pickup truck. 2 guys in the front. 1 driver, their commander. I think it was a captain in the Iraqi police army, police force. Then they had a bench in the back that had 3 or 4 on each side facing out, and they had AK-47s, and they had the equivalent of our Berettas, but it wasn't a Beretta. It was some 9mm pistol that the Iraqis used. Well, we get this call out, we're staging, and our operation wasn't supposed to happen until like 1300, between 1200 and 1300 was our original rollout time. However, about 10 o'clock, we get word this dude is there and we need to go now. So I'm going to watch the video, and I've not watched it all the way through. Okay, these are the infantry guys on the rooftop trying to overwatch what's going on. That explosion right there, I think that was the first V-bit. These guys are the 25th Stryker unit out of Fort Lewis, Washington. The 25th Infantry Division brought in Strykers from Fort Lewis, Washington. And this was our first time working with these guys.
I'm going to talk to
Hunter Element 10726.
You can see they were trying to call in fire support and stuff like that. This guy's already got his combat patch on.
Where you?
It's the 25th Infantry. We were struggling translating and stuff. We were trying to find the difference between the insurgents and that is a mortar system. Okay, let me go back. This right here is how they sent mortar rockets into our base camp. They would come out, set these things up, and then a guy would come along and fire these off. And all it is just, it looks like it's a bed frame with a couple of other welded pieces together, just big enough to hold 155mm artillery round. They had figured out how to make it into a mortar system, and this is what they were shooting at us into our base camps. You can see we didn't have the biggest of sights and stuff like that. That's a regular sight for the 249. We didn't have the 240 at this time. We had the 249. That's the Stryker right there. One of the Stryker dogs. But this firefight, this day alone, was one of the worst days in my life. And this is footage from the infantry guys' point of view. Okay? They're sitting there, they were providing overwatch. There's strikers there. I'm not sure if that's Tampa or not, but we rolled out of Diamondback, and we got into, we went out the gate, we got up onto Tampa, and as soon as we got on to Tampa, we realized that we were in a world of shit. And the reason I say that is because it was a ghost town. Tampa was a major major roadway that interlocked Mosul with Tikrit and Baghdad and all the others. And so it usually had civilian traffic going up and down it all the time. All the time. These roads would be full of traffic. We rolled out. You don't see a here's the entire force being briefed that, hey, we're fixing to roll out early because our target is there early. I don't know if I'm in this picture or not, but we were getting briefed that we needed to go early. So we were going to go door to door and knock on every door and whatnot to find our objective. Well,
go get up.
Okay.
The last cigarette before heading.
Anyways, we wound up rolling down Tampa, and as we were going down Tampa, it was literally a ghost town. And we rolled into, we hadn't gotten 2 miles on Tampa before we hit contact, and the lead vehicle came across the radio and they said, contact left. Another one chirped up, contact right. And what they were talking about was the lead vehicle was taking fire from buildings on their left and their right. We were funneled into the worst ambush possible that I could imagine. They started hitting us with everything. VBIDs, IEDs, small arms fire, RPGs, anything that they had, they were throwing it at us. And there was one specific type of IED charge that was actually like having I forget what it was called now, but it was literally like a shape charge that would shoot molten metal through our vehicles, our body armor, everything. It literally would punch through the 114, the Humvees, up armor Humvee didn't stand a chance against it. It cut through that armor like it was nothing because it was molten metal, and it could burn its way through at such a rapid speed. It would come through the vehicle armor and it would destroy whatever was inside the vehicle and go through, and we had to watch out for that. They had them on underpasses, they had them attached to light poles, they had them pointed on the curbside, aimed at the gunners, because let me pull up a picture. I'll do it this way. Huh? You're getting fussed at me. They cussing you out for that.
All the way.
So.
What you doing?
Just going over stuff. And remembering stuff, so. Let's see.
I was just coming to check on you.
I did okay, I think.
Well, how about you wrap this up soon?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, dear.
I love you.
I love you. So when I first got to Iraq, this is what our vehicles looked like. We had a shield here. We had smoke grenade launchers mounted on the sides here. We had a bull guard and a winch right here in the front. This is a stock video or a stock photo of our first 1114s. Mine had a bull guard that went all the way across and covered everything here. We kept the smoke grenades inside the vehicle, and it gave us our firing positions. The lead vehicle got from the 3 o'clock to the 9 o'clock. However, the vehicle behind it had from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. The vehicle behind that had from 6 to 12. And the last vehicle had from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, but from 3, 6, and 9. The lead vehicle had from 3, 12, and 9. 12 o'clock is the front of the vehicle. 6 o'clock is the back of the vehicle. These shape charges were aimed to punch through the doors here to kill the driver or come through and kill the TC, the team commander. And there were charges that were up on light poles directed down, and they would try and kill the gunner. Now, in the gun, you had this plate right here to protect the gunner from any attack coming at the gunner in the way he was facing. But we were open to attack from the sides, and there was a little hatch cover that was behind the gunner. However, let me see if I can find a picture of the hatch. Nope, that's not it. Okay. No, that one's way more protected than what I was. Okay, So this little hatch is what flops down and comes back up. It covers it keeps the rain out of the vehicle. It was literally maybe a half-inch thick, and it folded in half to flip back behind the gunner. Sometimes we would fold it in half and keep it propped up to give us a little back protection, but usually we just folded it in half and it laid right across the back of the vehicle. I'm looking through these pictures and I'm trying to see if I can find one where the hatch is open. Actually, it looks like the hatch went out to the side. It might have went to the side. Now that I'm thinking about it. It's been so long since I've been in that vehicle. I forget how it went. I thought it flipped. I could have sworn mine went behind me, not off to the side. But after 2004, after that incident, they started ramping it up and giving it this type of protection for the gunners and whatnot. But anyway, my wife, you heard Evil Pixie. She's listening to this and she knows this is going to give me some problems. So, because it's bringing up stuff that I went through, and I don't know if y'all can hear it, but my memory is starting to remember some of the bad stuff, and looking at some of these pictures reminds me of what I went through. But anyway, on November 11th, I wound up being shot. And hold on. See if I can zoom in on this picture. No. It won't let me zoom in on the picture the way I want. Alright, I'll back out of that picture. Guys were improvising ways to protect themselves. Excuse me. Some guys requested to have an inch thick steel plate wrapped around them. We improvised on making stuff for ourselves. So they call it the Battle of Mosul, and it was a massive battle that we wound up having to fight. These guys are the mortar team. It was bad. So we were rolling down Tampa. I was telling you that. We heard over the radio. We hadn't even been 10 minutes into the operation, a couple miles from base on Tampa, and not even the dogs were out. It was like a ghost town. And all of a sudden we start taking contact left and right from every building along this route. And it was like they knew we were coming. They knew which direction we would be coming from. They knew how big our forces were. And they had everything planned out to just wipe us out. But we were fighting for our lives, basically. And we rolled in. The infantry guys were in strikers, where we were in Humvees and on foot. Some of the infantry guys were on foot. The Iraqis, the Iraqi IPs, these guys were in a pickup truck. A pickup truck. There is no protection from any of the small arms that was being used for the Iraqi police officers. Those guys, I give them credit. They were willing to put themselves in harm's way big time. And as I'm sitting in my Humvee, my Humvee was positioned next to a building like this one. There was a dude right behind us, down the street, up on a building, and he was trying to shoot me as I'm faced this way. He was shooting at me, and he couldn't hit me, and I never understood why, but there was bullets flying all around me and hitting the wall next to me, and I'm shooting at a target down this way. Well, all of a sudden I'm hearing all the angry hornets flying over me and everything, and I see this wall right here, and it starts exploding next to me. And so I turn, and I'm starting to engage the guy down the street when a striker pulled up next to me, and I'm trying to traverse my gun, and I'm yelling at the commander of the striker to get out of my way so I can engage that dude. And he yells at me. He's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Move!" And he's like, "I don't understand. What are you saying?" About that time, a round hit the top of his Kevlar, and it caused his head to rock forward and rock back. And he looked at me in shock, and I said, "Move so I can kill that dude." And he looked over his shoulder, and he had on top of his striker this machine gun system. He was right here. His head went forward. He looked, this was his compartment right here, in this area here. was his compartment. This was where the tank commander's or the striker commander's compartment was. He turned this big gun and aimed it at where that dude was and let off like a 5-second burst from this gun. That entire area where that guy was just turned into a big old puff of smoke. And we waited for the smoke to clear, and he sat there and he looked and he made sure, and he yelled back at me. He goes, "I think we got him." And I was like, "I hope so." And I will not forget that conversation that I had with him. And I was like, "Dude, move, get out." And he was like, "I think I got him for you." And I was like, "I'm so proud." I was like, I'm glad that y'all took care of him. And it was a few minutes later, he come rolling out. He rolled out. So I'm aiming down this street again. This isn't my vehicle, but I'm aiming down this street, and all of a sudden, the building next to me up top just gets decimated. And the reason it was decimated, there was another striker down this way who seen a group of insurgents on the rooftop that I couldn't see. They were fixing to come over the rooftop, and I guess they were going to attack my Humvee. And this striker used a tow missile and shot the building next to me with the tow missile and destroyed the insurgents that were fixing to attack me from above. That rocket going off that close to me knocked me back down into my vehicle. I wasn't expecting it. I was in a stunned position, but I got back up, and I'm sitting there, I'm rocking it. Well, a few minutes later, there was a mortar that had went off in front of my vehicle, literally right in front of my vehicle. And I'm looking at all these pictures, and I'm remembering some of the things that I went through. But I was faced away from where the explosion was. Let's see if I can find a good picture of a Humvee. So anyway, I was faced away, and a piece of shrapnel, because I didn't have this armor plating behind me, hit me in the back of the helmet, and it hit me in my Kevlar, and it made me smash my face against the 50 cal. That knocked me unconscious. How long? I don't know. But I fell inside the vehicle, and I was unconscious. My team leader reached over and he took a piece of shrapnel, probably about, I don't know, maybe the size of a penny, out of my Kevlar from that mortar. And he said, my Kevlar saved my helmet had saved my life. And I admit, it did. So we were sitting there, and there was movement on the rooftop down the alleyway, and I'm engaging it, and all of a sudden I hear my team leader say, "Brace for impact." And I was like, "What's going on?" He goes, "They're dropping a 500-pound bomb." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, we've got danger close inbound." Well, I'm having to engage these targets down this alleyway, and all of a sudden behind me was this massive explosion. It was a 500-pound bomb dropped from an F-18, I think it was, that had come close, and they had targeted this one major group of insurgents, and they dropped the 500-pound bomb. Well, I had braced for impact while holding the gun, and I'm rocking this 50 cal, and with that, all of a sudden the shock wave caused me to walk right down this building, and I was holding on to the butterflies, and I shot into this apartment complex, or this house, apartment, whatever you want to call it. And I walked it through the entire building, basically. They had these kind of doors. These are the IPs, or the Iraqi National Guard, INGs, actually. And I walked it through a door like this. This door is to a family home. I didn't know that. And I just shot everything into this building. And all of a sudden, this old lady comes running out, and she opens up the doors, and I seen an explosion. I destroyed the car, the family car, like this, on the other side of the building, or other side of the wall. I didn't mean to, I wasn't intending to, but I'm guessing I just went right through some family home and whatnot. And if I killed somebody in that building, I don't know. I know I killed guys on the rooftop that were shooting at me. I don't know if I killed a family. I know I didn't kill the grandmother, because she came out and she was screaming, and I asked the interpreter, and he was like telling me that she was yelling that I was shooting at her family. But I don't know if I had shot her family. She said I was shooting at her family. So, yeah. Anyway, we wound up capturing, after 3.5 hours, we were in this firefight. We get word that we had captured our high-value target and that we were pulling out. Well, as we're pulling out, we were going back to our rally point, and as we were crossing a bridge near the one of the Iraqi police stations, it was a bridge like this, but there was it was the main highway going over a street. And as we were coming up onto the police station like this. There was a building right here, similar to this. We were crossing the bridge, and there were insurgents on the rooftop that opened up on us because they wanted their leader back. And they were trying their best to get him back. Well, as they were trying to get him back, I spotted the guys on the rooftop, and I just opened up with the 50 cal. And I am waylaying every last one of them. Now, the INGs, as you can see, I think this is a picture. Okay, no, that's not it. They were exposed while riding in the back of this pickup truck. Well, I watched one of those guys lose his leg because the round hit him. This isn't him, but the round hit the guy right here in the leg, and it ripped his leg in half. I turned because out of the corner of my eye, I saw the shot, and it was coming from a bus down below me on the underpass. And as I turned to engage that bus, I saw a second puff, and I felt the thump in my right shoulder. As the bullet hit me, I held on to the 50 cal and I walked it through that bus, and I watched that shooter just explode as I walked 50 cal rounds into him. I took a round through my right shoulder that hit both bones in my collarbone, and then went into it. It hit my scapula and fractured it. Then it came back up and it hit the ball joint in my right shoulder and destroyed it, and then ricocheted out my back. And what's this? I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. Anyways, it went through my back and came out like 3 inches from my spine. I stayed in my gun all the way to the exfil. Then I was put on a medical transport Stryker, and in that Stryker was a high value target plus one of his lieutenants. And I'm getting treated for my wounds and whatnot with this guy. He had been shot, I think, multiple times in his stomach. Well, his lieutenant was shot as well, and I didn't know it at the time who he was, but the doctor treated me before he treated them, because I was more important than the high value target was at that time of being kept alive. I was taken to the 4077 MASH, who is from the TV show MASH. It's the real military it was the real military hospital, mobile surgery hospital. I was taken to them, and they were treating me for my gunshot wound. Well, at that time, they didn't have everything set up to put me to sleep and put me under so I wouldn't feel the pain. I passed out while they were treating my wounds and stuff, and they had sent me to Yes,
I just got Pongo's haircut. So.
Oh, you gave Pongo a haircut?
Yeah, it's not well.
Is he appreciative of your haircut?
No, not at all.
Him not very appreciative?
No, not one single little bit.
Are you telling me to change subjects and get off of this?
Yes.
Okay. All right.